You have a quorum now, Delegate Riley.
Thank you. Okay, we are live. Welcome to the Harford County Delegation House meeting this morning. And we have a short agenda, so I'm sure everybody will enjoy that and appreciate that, especially our delegation. But we do have some things that we have to do. So we have a quorum. So Vice Chair Delegate Susan McComas is excused today because she's in appropriations. So if one of our delegation members could make a motion to approve both sets of minutes. One was the emergency.
Delegate Riley, were you going to do the prayer and the pledge?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I really want to speed this up. Thank you, Cindy. Okay. So I will say the prayer and then we'll have Delegate Arkin do the pledge. Lord, thank you again for this day. Continue to watch over us, watch over our guests that are here today and those that work in the Maryland General Assembly as lobbyists or advocates, and continue to watch over us so that we can make the wise decisions for our Harford County citizens and Maryland overall. And we thank you in your name. Amen. Delegate Arkin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And Delegate Arkin, would you like to make the motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Steve Johnson.
Okay, I think Delegate Steve
Second.
Johnson got in for the second. Thank you very much. Do we have any discussion? I see none. Okay, and does everybody approve the minutes? We can just say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any nays? See none. So Cindy, both sets of minutes have been approved. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to old business. We have, as you all know, Monday, this Monday was the alcohol day in ECM. So we had Delegate Johnson do one of the bills, and then I did the other bills that the Harford County delegation had voted on to send over to the Senate. In the process, we did have something that was noticed by Steve Wise and Nick Manis. They're both here representing their organizations. I will let them introduce themselves and the company that they represent here in Annapolis under this particular alcohol license. It was my understanding, I mentioned it, they did approach me before I had the introduction of the two bills. They were identical amendments, so I will let them, and we need to vote on those. So I guess who's ever first, Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This hopefully will only take a minute. In the course of reviewing these bills, I represent the Maryland State Licensed Beverage Association, which are all the alcoholic beverage retailers, the third tier, if you will, of our three-tier system. In reading the bills that set up these two retail licenses, the hatchet throwing facility and the performing arts license, typically a retail license like that will purchase all of their product from a licensed wholesaler. The bill as drafted allows them to purchase from a manufacturer or another retailer. That is not commonly found in the alcoholic beverage article. And so the amendment is just to clarify that these retail licenses, like every other retail license, can purchase from just a licensed wholesaler and not a retailer or manufacturer.
Okay, and just to mention the delegation members, the amendment has been drawn up and is actually in your packet. And now we have Mr. Manis. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the delegation, Nick Manis, representing the Maryland Beer Wholesalers Association, and just echoing what Steve said. We did put in a letter also, but we wanted to make sure you were aware of it before you testified. So, and this goes along with other hatchet throwing facilities in other counties and performing arts. So this is conforms it to what all the other bills and all the other facilities that are in the state.
Okay, so it's based on the other industries that are the same.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All righty, so I need a motion to accept.
Motion to move the amendments.
Okay, I have a motion. Anyone second?
Second.
Okay, so Andre, second the motion. So any further discussion on the amendment? See none. Cindy, if you could take the roll call, please.
Delegate Erican,
Yes.
Delegate Griffith,
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate A Johnson,
Yes.
Delegate S Johnson,
Yes.
Delegate Riley.
yes.
That's 5-0. The motion passes.
Okay, and then you have Delegate McComas is excused.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, delegation,
you.
for that. Thank you, Mr. Manis and Mr. Wise.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hop off if
Yep.
that's okay. Thank you.
absolutely. All right, thank you. Okay. Yeah. We talked about both. Okay, and just to mention, the motion on that was to, because they were identical to both bills. We just approved both bills, the hatchet and what was the other one?
1059,
Yes, so they're both.
performing arts theater license.
Yes, correct. All righty, so we're going to jump down to new business. And we have the Harford County Sheriff's Office with us. I'm just going to let Eric Roby, which is the Director of Legislative and Community Affairs, to speak and introduce his guests or his panel that he has with him this morning. And he's going to give us a presentation on the, I guess several talking points, but I believe the main thing is the catalytic converter. I call it converter, yeah.
Close, you got
And we've heard a lot about it, and a lot of them are being taken. So I'm sure that that's kind of what your presentation is going to be about. Judy sent the packet from Mr. Roby to your emails. If you did not have a chance to pull that up or print it out, she also printed a copy out and put it in your office. So hopefully you have that, that you can go through the docket as Eric goes through that. Thank you. Eric, you're on.
Yes, good morning, Chair Riley and members of the delegation. Thanks for having us this morning. We actually were putting this little talk and presentation together, and I want to introduce first to my left is Senior Deputy Eric Blottenberger. He is with our community police unit and the one that's kind of spearheaded the catalytic converter ID program here in the county. But as I was saying, we were putting together this presentation yesterday and talking about a few things we wanted to make certain the delegation was aware of. But we didn't realize until this morning that the actual program had its first success story. And apparently let me back up a little bit here. Over the weekend, we had a number of catalytic converters stolen from vehicles from one of our local landscaping companies here in the county. And this was, something that was certainly discussed at our Wednesday morning ComStat meeting. And then Wednesday afternoon, evening, down in Charles County, a civil deputy who's not somebody who's working the road. This is somebody that's serving papers out there, saw a suspicious vehicle, stopped that vehicle, and lo and behold, in the back seat of that vehicle were catalytic converters with the orange paint, that glowing orange paint that Deputy Blottenberger is going to talk about here in a minute, with HCSO written on them. So these were the catalytic converters that were stolen over the weekend from the landscaping company that we actually found down in Charles County. So certainly, everybody here is excited that this is the first time we've actually had a theft with catalytic converters that were ID'd by the Harford County Sheriff's Office, and they were recovered within 72 hours. So that's going to be a good case for us to work here. But I'm going to turn it over to just tell you about the program to Senior Deputy Blottenberger and let him give you an idea of what the program's doing here in the county, how many folks we're working with currently, and then what our plans are for the future.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, everyone. I'll go through, I put a short slide PowerPoint here together. If you don't have it, that's okay, because we'll move through the talking points. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to ask. The program went live about a year ago. The impetus was as Eric laid out that scenario, that's kind of what I envisioned when developing this program. So we could tie back a converter to an individual victim or business and then make the case from there. But leading into this, kind of a lot of the questions that I get are, what's in a catalytic converter? Why is everyone stealing them? And basically, there's three metals in there: platinum, palladium, and rhodium. Rhodium is the money. So if you look at a catalytic converter, if you were to look in the end of it, there's a honeycomb of almost like a ceramic material. It's coated with these metals. Those metals are rare, and that's where the value is. Trading values, I pulled a snapshot to put this into perspective over the summer. Gold was trading about $1,700, a little over that per ounce. Rhodium was trading at over $14,000 an ounce. So you can see the value in there. Now, obviously, there isn't multiple ounces of rhodium in each converter, but those precious metals are what makes these converters valuable. So that's why they're being stolen. What vehicles have we seen targeted here? In the county, I divided these up into commercial and what we've termed in the program residential vehicles. Commercial vehicles, our crime analysts put a snapshot. They collect the data and they feed it to us as far as makes, models, and those things. I started to see a trend in those. As far as vehicle makes, at that time when I developed the program and pitched it to our command staff about 1.5 years ago. At that time, and it stayed fairly consistent, though we have a new rising star, unfortunately, that's being stolen and targeted here in the last few weeks. The Ford Super Duty pickups. So basically, that's in Ford's line, that is their heavy duty pickup. So this would be contractors, HVAC people, plumbing, heating, it runs a gambit. This is their workforce, but this is pickup trucks, and they were being targeted. The Ford Econoline van series. And if you have the PowerPoint, I included a bunch of different photos in there, but basically places of worship, their buses that they use to transport, a lot of those are Econoline series. Upper Chesapeake, their shuttle buses are Econoline van series. The ARC Center are running, amongst others, they have Econolines in their fleet, and they were victimized. So it can run window vans, cargo vans. Again, this is plumbing and heating, electrical. This is their workforces as well. Another one is the Ford F-59 chassis. This is a workhorse for, if you think of like a FedEx or UPS truck, that's kind of what it looks like. But here in the county, we had a bread company being victimized, and that's what they're running. And also Chevy vans, little Nissan minivans. These are catering and electric companies. We use these, the NV200 from Nissan. They're being targeted. That vehicle alone, one business told me that was hit. Replacement cost was $7,000 to $8,000 per vehicle. So the dollar point on these are very expensive. Now the Nissan, if you don't have, I'll describe it if you don't have the photo in front of me. This is, as Eric alluded to, these latest, over this past weekend, these thieves were specifically targeting Isuzu NPR box trucks and landscaping trucks. So basically, it's kind of a cab on the front, and then the frame of the truck, and individual companies will outfit it how it fits their needs. But the converters on the Isuzus, you don't even have to crawl under them to get to them. You can see them if you stand next to the vehicle. So I think this is a crime of opportunity. They can quickly be cut off, but also there is some dollar amount value there. Residential side on those vehicles, Toyota Prius seems to be a recurring favorite, as well as the Honda Element. There's model years in those particular vehicles that are more valuable than others, but I didn't break it down to that. So let's talk about the program itself. So in its inception, I wanted a way to ID these converters. So the converters are stamped or marked with a number from the factory, but it's more, for lack of a better term, like a part number. I can't trace that back to a VIN of a specific vehicle. So my idea was here, would mark the converters, give them a serialized number, and brand them HCSO, Harford County Sheriff's Office, followed by a sequential number. So that is what we're doing with the program. I marked that number on there in a high temperature paint. So if you go on one slide here, HCSO 53, that's how it goes on, that bright yellow. If you turn to the very next slide, it'll say HCSO That's one. That's my Super Duty that I use quite often. It's an agency vehicle. That's how it cures with heat. It's very difficult to get off. It's almost like a powder coat type finish, not a typical spray paint you would buy. So we get our branding information there. We record that. And then we put that, I made an Excel spreadsheet that's accessible to all of our deputies 24/7. So if they have a recovery, like Eric was talking about the case in Charles County, if they call us, say it's at 3 a.m., duty officer can go in there, look at my log and say, hey, down in Charles County, we've recovered ACS 035. They can actually pull up the make, model, vehicle, and the owner's information for that vehicle. We can sort of tie that together fairly quickly. In addition to the program, myself and another deputy proactively went out and made contact with our local scrap yards and auto recyclers. Now, the auto recyclers can only take converters that they're taking the whole vehicle in. People aren't walking in and giving them a converter if the yards are abiding by the law. But I just wanted to get the word out that we were doing this program, so to make them aware of it. We also went over to Cecil and talk to at least one or more yards over there. So in numbering them, as you can see, the next couple photos are how we number it after it cures. That's what it looks like. And going back there, you'll see a catalytic converter registration receipt. If you don't have it in front of you, this is a receipt that we designed. When I mark a vehicle, this is what the owner gets. So if it's stolen or misplaced, it records the vehicle make, model, year, the date it was marked, who it was marked by within our agency, and what that vehicle's individual catalytic converter number is. To make it easy on the vehicle owners, if they are unfortunately victimized, they can just present this to the officer, trooper, deputy that responds out to take the report. They don't have to remember all the information. So I went out to roll calls for our deputies, briefed them on the program, and numerous emails have went out about the program. So the owner gets a receipt. And then we also designed a sticker. I'll hold it up if everybody doesn't have their sheet in front of them. So this is a warning sticker. I provide them, I have two sizes, bigger ones for commercial vehicles, smaller for residential vehicles. The owners can put them in there. So my hope was that we have several layers of prevention. A potential thief approaches the vehicle. My hope is that they see the decal. Whoa, that's been marked with the sheriff's office, and they move on. If they don't see it or ignore it, they climb under the vehicle. Now they see the converter has been marked. Visually, they can see it. So hopefully within these thresholds, they'll abort the theft. I will also provide businesses a JPEG or a digital copy of this decal. They can make signs if they want, post it on the property to advertise it, because some of our contractors and businesses in the county, when they get hit, as in this most recent case for landscaping, they'll hit a number of their fleet. And then when they come in on a Monday morning, for example, they can't run anything because now they're down. It's a scheduling nightmare. So hopefully these multiple layers of warning will hopefully negate a theft. As in this case, most recent case, if the thieves go through with the theft, then hopefully on the backside of this, now that we've applied a serial number to it, we then can make a case for that and backtrack from the serial number itself. So getting involved in the program, if we get a business, and as a side note, the businesses have been extremely receptive to this. I proactively, when I first started the program, were calling businesses that had been victimized, and we've, including the towns that we took reports for, the towns did. And almost across the board, the response from the business community is, we're glad we were doing something. I don't upsell it a lot here because it is stencils, decals, and spray paint, high temperature paint. But I also then explain that what I've explained to you all, that this is how we track it. It hopefully pays dividends, and the business community has been wonderful. They've been great. We're glad you're addressing the problem. Same with the residential people that have expressed interest, and I've marked their vehicles. So commercial entities, if they're interested, they can reach my direct line, or they can email me. I schedule and go out to them because we have to accommodate their schedule, multiple vehicles, big fleets. I've had fleets of dozens of vehicles. I've had small businesses with less than 10 vehicles. So I accommodate their schedule. Weekends, nights, we'll make it happen for them.
Okay, well,
Resident-
Yep, thank you so much we have to move on. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but
No.
looks like you're almost finished.
Yes,
But, thank you for the presentation. We really appreciate it. It's very nice to see that the sheriff's office, once again in Harford County, is being extremely proactive. And before I go to questions from the delegation, is there something that you have, or if you would like, to have for us, like a little snippet or your information that each one of us can put on our social media or our newsletters? If that's something, I don't know if you've thought of that, but if that's something you want us to do to, make people aware of this program, please let us know, email the delegation, what you would like us, to put out there. We certainly would appreciate that. And excellent job, for thinking outside of the box. Again, our sheriff's office does a great job, and we really appreciate what you guys do and put your life online for us. So I see a question from Delegate Delcomas. Welcome back. Unmute yourself.
Great presentation. I missed the first part, but I assume I can get your PowerPoint.
There's a copy in your office.
Okay. My question to you all is, and I don't really want the answer in public, but offline, or if you want to just kind of email me, are these situations where they go in and they steal the converter in places that are not maybe as well lit, maybe don't have security cameras, that are basically kind of hidden? It's easier to get in and out undetected, as opposed to if it's well lit and maybe a junkyard dog or something that would bite them. The other thing I'm concerned about is criminals are very resourceful, and although this is high heat paint and everything, is there a way that they're going to figure out a way to take it off the catalytic converter? But anyway, I think you guys, it's a phenomenal program. I think you really are being very, very creative. So I want to thank you. And I'm sorry, I had appropriations meeting, so I'm kind of like running all over the place.
We excused you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, and I think what's important, Delegate Riley, is the final piece of kind of the presentation that we wanted to just take a minute to talk about is it is something that we've seen, especially over the last 6 months, getting hit really hard here in Harford County. I can tell you one weekend, about half of our reports were catalytic converter thefts. And talking to some of your colleagues from around the state, I know Prince George's, other areas of the state are getting hit hard with this. This seems to be the trend. Folks stealing catalytic converters. But looking at the laws that are on the books in the state right now, it's really the dollar amounts that they look at when they're when they're coming in, whether we can charge them with misdemeanor or felony theft. So I just wanted Eric to spend 30 seconds just giving you an idea, because other states around the country, Indiana and Virginia in particular, have actually changed the laws and specifically put catalytic converter thefts in their state codes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in Maryland, so it would go to the dollar amount of the converter itself. So to get to the felony level, we may have to have multiple victims or multiple vehicles to get to the dollar amount to get to the theft category. And it being a felony charge, I think would be more of a deterrent. So that's the way Maryland is. We could go for a theft scheme. If we have put a scheme case together, there's a lot of work that would go into that. And you have to connect the individual back to multiple thefts. Virginia, for example, and this is included in the packet, House Bill 740 passed there. They make it a class 6 felony to steal a converter. So you're already at that level without the scheme or without multiple thefts. Indiana, Senate Bill 167 was signed in April of 21. Theft and sale of converters, a level 6 felony. That's a classification that they have. We don't have that. But the point being that it upgrades that to a felony. I put the bill notes in there. If anyone wanted to research it further for the more particular wording, feel free to do so. But the point being that the tampering with in one state, it alone, to tamper with the converter and steal it is a felony. So I gave a couple examples of Virginia and Indiana. Missouri and Texas have tightened up theirs. I didn't include theirs for the recyclers, for the scrap yards. If they knowingly receive these, then it upgrades it in believe it's Missouri to a felony for the scrap yard itself. So they're approaching it on both fronts, to take the marketability away of it. So
Do we have any data on this, the one in Virginia? Because it looks pretty good. I mean, it's kind of cut and dry. Have they seen a difference now that this bill's in? I know it's only a year, not even just a year.
I don't have data, ma'am, as far as if they've seen a reduction of thefts. I don't know.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that these folks that hit the operation over the weekend seem to be professionals, quote unquote, at doing this. And Charles County is kind of close to that Virginia border, and they decided to come up here to Harford to steal catalytic.
Right.
So
Good point. Okay, we have a question with Delegate Steve Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, you answered my question. I was going to ask you if we're doing anything on the salvage yard end of it.
For the program, went out and made contact, at least with our local ones here. I didn't get into what some of the other states, as I alluded to, Texas and Missouri, for example, have went after to upgrade penalties for the salvage yards. So that's certainly an avenue to explore, because then you're taking the marketability away from the thief, because where they're going to get rid of it, it's only worth something to them if they can get rid of it and make money on it. So a law that would make just the stealing of a converter a felony, as well as hold the scrap yards, at least here at home, accountable, then yeah, I would see that as a benefit. But
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. So this definitely looks like something that we should look into to see what we can do here in Maryland. I don't know now, it might be a little late. I don't know if we could drum something up and do it as an emergency bill and it would go through rules. But so we'll have to discuss that probably offline, and then hopefully next year have a good product going through. So thank you for the presentation again. Kudos for everything that you do. And we're glad that you caught the guy over the weekend. And now in that case, was it a group of people, do we know, or just one person?
because it's still early on.
Okay, don't know.
Yeah, we
Okay.
don't. There's been some search warrants for some other vehicles,
Interesting.
individuals that may be involved. So we'll see.
Okay, so any other questions for Eric? Okay, seeing none, thank you again, guys, for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so now we're going to move on. We're still on new business. We have a presentation by MML. We have Teresa Coons here, the CEO, and she has a couple other guests with her. So we'll let her introduce those, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And both of us talk quickly, so we'll help you get along in the brief part of the meeting. We just want to introduce yourself. My name is Teresa Coons. You may know me, and Madam Chair, we worked together last year on your tax credit. I used to be at the Realtors managing
Okay.
from Southern Maryland. So unfortunately, hearing about Charles County and that side of things. But here I am now representing all 157 cities and towns in Maryland. And as you all know, we have Aberdeen, Havre de Grace, and Bel Air. And my counterpart.
So. But we lost you.
Oh,
You're back.
I'm here. Okay. And my counterpart, Angelica Bailey-Picari, is our lead advocate who runs our public affairs and our advocacy piece. We have 2 priority bills you'll hear about from this session. And for following the police, I'll let Angelica talk about our police accountability bill very briefly.
Good morning, everyone. Angelica Bailey-Picari. So nice to be with all of you. Big thank you to staff and the committee's, the delegation's flexibility for us having to reschedule from last week. We're very happy to be here. Police accountability boards, that's Senate Bill 409, House Bill 518, just had its first hearing this past Tuesday in both chambers. We're very excited about this one. As many of you know by this point, Maryland has 157 municipalities, and 88 of those have their own police departments. But those police departments do not have access to the police accountability boards and administrative charging committees that were set up in the police bill that passed a couple years ago. So we're just looking for enabling legislation this year, just something in the law that allows those municipalities that have the resources, that have the desire to go ahead and create those disciplinary frameworks on the municipal level. So getting some good momentum. Our ultimate goal this year, whatever that ends up looking like, is meaningful municipal representation in the process. So we look forward to working with all of you. Hope for your support. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank
And-
you. Do we
And the
see-
other bill you'll hear more about, Madam Chair, is the cannabis legalization. I think you actually were in our committee the other day when we testified, but we are looking for a larger bite of the tax revenue. It's essentially at the end of the day, let's say Havre de Grace has a dispensary set up in their downtown. For every $1 million they sell, Havre de Grace gets $900 in this bill. And it's just not an appropriate amount to do any of the zoning, especially comprehensive plan changes, signage, enforcement for the police, and training of those 89 law enforcement agencies across the state. So we're hoping for a little bit larger bite. We do feel that we are getting some momentum on that. And we do hope to have some more zoning regulations clarified because it's a little bit vague right now.
Thank you. Excellent points. I do see some questions from the delegation. We have Delegate Griffith.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for being here. And it's good to see you, Angelica, my old friend. Very quickly, so I wanted to get to that point. I'm certainly very concerned about the state imposing local zoning controls on the counties and certainly the municipalities. I'm not sure there's really any tax that's worth ceding your control of your own municipality. Certainly not $900 per million. I guess my question is, at what point are you like, this isn't worth it for us? Because, we don't want a dispensary next to a Chuck E. Cheese, for example. You know what I mean? And we lose all control of these based upon the bill in its current form.
And that's absolutely the points we've been making with the committees and in our amendments. You'll see some press over the next few days. We've been doing some interviews, bringing up those same points. I know one of our mayors actually was able to put into a zoning law last year in 2022 to not allow dispensaries. We're not sure if that's going to stand. We don't believe it is in its current form. And that's what we're trying to get clarification on, is for those places who do not want to have these in their communities. It's obviously a local autonomy issue. We are concerned as well about local control and authority.
All right, thank you.
Okay, do I see any other questions for our panelists? Okay, thank you, Angela and Teresa. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And we know where to reach out if we have any questions. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Okay, so we're moving on to a presentation by the Catholic Charities. We have Amy Cullerer here, which is the Director of Community Services. And we're going to let her take a few minutes to talk about the programs that we actually have available in Harford County, and if any particular bills that could help them out.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to have an opportunity to share with you this morning. Again, my name is Amy Collier. I'm the Director of the Community Services Division at Catholic Charities, which houses 20 programs serving individuals living in poverty, individuals experiencing homelessness, as well as the immigrant population. For 100 years, Catholic Charities has accompanied Marylanders as they age with dignity, obtain empowering careers, heal from trauma and addiction, achieve economic independence, prepare for educational success, and feel welcome as immigrant neighbors. We are the third largest Catholic charities in the United States, and our tradition of serving individuals with compassion and care is certainly highlighted by strong partnerships with state and local government. Our organization operates over 80 programs in 200 locations within the boundaries of the Baltimore Archdiocese. Within the programs that we serve, within the programs that we operate, we serve individuals from all jurisdictions within the state of Maryland. Today, I'd really like to focus on the programs and services that we operate in Harford County. We have a continuum of services in Harford County to serve individuals all the way from prenatal through the senior years. We really are looking forward to continuing our partnership with you, your staff, your constituents, to uphold our values to love, to serve, to teach, and to work for justice. We have 5 programmatic areas that we operate in Harford County, and I believe you all have a handout that goes over those different areas. And I'll just highlight them for you briefly. In Aberdeen and Abingdon, we offer senior housing for low to moderate income seniors. We have 151 units of senior housing that we operate in Aberdeen and Abingdon. In Aberdeen, we also have a program that is a senior support program, which has some specialized services to help seniors to age in place. In Bel Air, we have a program called Anna's House, which serves individuals and families experiencing homelessness with a wide variety of services, including emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, and community supportive permanent housing. As a part of our continuum of behavioral health services at Catholic Charities, we operate an outpatient mental health clinic in Abingdon, which offers individual and family therapy, psychiatric rehabilitation programming, as well as school-based mental health services in 7 public schools. We offer an early Head Start program in Harford County, which serves 60 pregnant women, infants, and toddlers, providing a comprehensive array of services for both children and families in classroom and home-based settings, and comprehensive services for families that include our early intervention, parenting classes, and resource coordination to support parents' goals, often in the areas of education and employment. In our Gallagher Services program, which serves individuals with intellectual disabilities, we have 2 group homes. We have 2 group homes in Bel Air and 1 in Abingdon. And these group homes allow individuals with intellectual disabilities to live as independently as possible and to participate in the community to the extent that they are able to. Through all of our programs in Harford County, again, we serve individuals from the earliest stages of life through the end of life. We have a strong presence in Harford County, which includes our own staff and volunteers. We have over 100 Catholic Charities staff members that live in Harford County. We also have over 60 Catholic Charities staff members that work in our programs in Harford County. And notably, we had over 1,000 Harford County residents that volunteered for Catholic Charities in the past year. We're really excited to celebrate our 100th anniversary at Catholic Charities this year. And we have a lot of events that we have planned to celebrate our 100th anniversary, which really is providing an opportunity for us to reflect on the past 100 years and look forward to the next 100 years with some program enhancements and as well as expansion. Some of the celebration activities that we have planned include a special celebration in Harford County on March 24th. It's a breakfast from 7:30 to 9 a.m., which will be held at the Maryland Golf and Country Club. And we certainly invite you to join us there. We're also hosting a special inaugural symposium featuring Dr. Greer Gordon, who will be speaking on the topic of Good Trouble, Alliances for Racial Justice. And that will be held at the Church of the Nativity on April 20th at 6 p.m. It will be free and open to the public, and we will also have satellite locations available to participate. Other events that celebrate our 100th anniversary include our very popular and exciting Dragon Boat races, which will be held at the Inner Harbor on September 9th. We also be having our annual Catholic Charities celebration in November, as well as a Christmas concert at the Baltimore Basilica in December. I just want to highlight that we really would like to continue our longstanding partnership with you and serve as a community resource to help to connect you with any of our services for seniors, for children, for individuals with intellectual disabilities, as well as those who are experiencing challenge with behavioral health. We have had a lobbying presence in Annapolis for over 50 years. My colleagues Regan Vaughn and Lisa Klingenmeyer are on the line with me, and they're certainly available to assist you with any questions about legislations, and you can always feel free to reach out to them. I also have colleagues representing the specific programs that I've mentioned today on the line with me. If you have any specific questions about any of those programs, we are extremely appreciative of our longstanding partnership with you and the Harford County constituents, and we look forward to continuing our work together. So we are available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Collier. Excellent presentation. Again, you sound as busy as the sheriff's office. Got a lot going on. You said over 100 locations and different programs going on. So we thank you for what you do for our constituents in Harford County. And do we see any questions from the delegation? Okay, seeing none. Well, thank you again for coming on, and thank you for all of your other members. I think you have like 6 to 8 other folks here. Thank you for coming on this morning, and we look forward to working with you back in Harford County. And also, Ms. Collier, for point of contact, if you could just send us like a phone numbers and the person whom we would talk to with each of the programs that you spoke of this morning, that would be very helpful. And maybe we can also, send that out to our folks to get the word out what they need help. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay. All right, that looks like this is the end of our presentation. So if there's no other questions from the delegation, we need a motion to adjourn. Okay, I see Delegate McComas, Delegate Archon, did you second? Thank you.